Welcome to Artificial Intelligence in your first year experience course. Thank you for coming today. Today's webinar will be recorded and will be sent out tomorrow by email to you. If you have questions, please enter them in the chat window and we'll address them during the session, or there'll be a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. And today's webinar is brought to you by Human Esources. Human Esources is a worldwide leader in the development and provision of online personal assessments, student success, and education and career development programs. We also have a free resume service, and you can learn more about everything at humanesources.com. And we're very fortunate to have Dr. Marsha Fralick with us today to talk about how AI can be used in the FYE classroom. A little bit about Dr. Fralick. Dr. Marsha Fralick taught college success courses for 45 years and is a frequent presenter at conferences related to student success. She's the author of the College and Career Success line of textbooks, now in the 10th edition. Her college success program in the San Diego area received many awards from students and faculty and was designated an exemplary program by the California Community Colleges Board of Governors. And today's topic is based on content from her 2025 10th edition of College and Career Success. And with that, I'd like to welcome Marsha to today's call.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming. As I was writing the new editions, the process of doing this is to look at the old editions and read every word, and I would ask myself, is this still true today? And then look at current trends. And so as I was reading through my 9th edition, there are a couple of trends that stood out to me, and that is the world is changing very quickly, especially in regards to the use of artificial intelligences, AI. And then another theme that I found is the focus on well-being. So today I'm doing a webinar on AI, and tomorrow I'll be doing a webinar on well-being. And these are the 4 different textbooks that I have. I have a couple of cultural textbooks that have to do with college success for Native Americans and Hawaiian Pacific Islanders. So here's an overview of the presentation today. The rationale for using AI in higher education, current AI use by students and faculty. What are some tools for students and faculty? As I was going through and writing my new editions, I did use AI as a tool, so I had firsthand experience on how it can be used by students and faculty. And then above all, I'd like to have a conversation with you. How are you using AI in your FYE course? So the focus today is practical uses. I don't have a background in technology. I have a background in curriculum. The target is faculty who are considering or beginning to use AI. And the outcome today is sharing ideas. Whenever I do a presentation, I like to ground my presentation in current research. And the most up-to-date research I could find on the use of AI in higher education only went to 2022. But as you can see from this chart, the use of AI in higher education is rapidly increasing. And if we were able to extrapolate this graph out a little further to 2025, I'm sure it would be more in that 50% range or even higher. Today, I'm going to be talking about some sources online, and these are all listed at my website. At the end of the presentation, I will give you the URL to my website so that you can access any articles that I mentioned. I'm also going to share with you some handouts for students. And so all the materials that I'm using will be posted at my website. Another article I read that was from Boston University, and again, it was only 2023, and we're now in 2025, and things keep changing. But interesting statistics, 30% of faculty believe that AI should be banned. And 54% use AI with restrictions. 43% believe they should be incorporating AI in their teaching. And 50% are reconsidering writing assignments, course design, and classroom activities. And then there was a 2023 student survey by Best Colleges. 54% of college students reporting use of AI on their assignments. So whether faculty approve of this use or not, students are using AI in their assignments.
Did we want to do the poll right now and see where people are currently at with their AI? I'll just launch that quickly. We just have a quick yes or no if you're using AI. And we'll have a look.
So I'll pause momentarily. If you could just answer as a poll, it would give us an idea of where faculty are on this issue at the current time.
Yeah, and it looks like we're 70, well, about 3/4 are yes. And so about a quarter, maybe a third as the numbers shift a little bit here are no. So definitely a definite trend towards the yes. And then we have a quick second question. Actually, I can share those results quickly. And then we have another poll, and that's if you're planning to use AI in the future. You should maybe do this at the beginning and the end and see
This
if
is
there's
good.
a
I think
difference.
this helps. And I think it helps people to join in the conversation also. It seems like quite a few people are using AI. So I'm happy that we could share ideas from people who are currently using it. And again, it aligns with the statistics. There are some people who are just starting to use AI. So this is a good place to be and join in the conversation.
Absolutely. Great opportunity to share your experience. So we have it's 72% are yes, planning to use AI in FYE, and 28% are maybe. There are no no's.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, all of us know that AI has benefits and challenges. Some of the benefits are increased productivity, improved healthcare, increased access to education. Just last week, Bill Gates came out and said that from his point of view, the two areas likely to be most impacted by AI are healthcare and education. So I think this is a timely topic to be discussing. First year experience, my philosophy is that in my materials, I have three focuses, and that is college success. And those are the typical study skills that most FYE courses include. I also have a career emphasis, and I've included this career emphasis because in my experience working at a community college, students dropped out early if they hadn't made an informed choice of a major. So knowing what your major is and making a good choice of a major gives you the motivation to continue the FYE course and to complete your educational goals. And then lifelong success. And so that topic of well-being fits nicely in there. So some tools for students. First of all, and I think most importantly, is career development. And then using AI to summarize material, using AI as a way to explore topics a little further. I was surprised when I was working on my new editions how useful AI can be in time management. And then, of course, probably the area that we're most familiar with is using AI in writing. So AI and careers. And so probably the most important reason we should be using AI in education is that career component. So it's important to acquire skills in AI to cope with changing job requirements and increase opportunities in AI-related careers. So we're all preparing students for the future, and AI is part of that. As I was doing my research for the new edition, I include a section on career trends. Many of my students say that they are going to college in order to have financial security, to be able to provide for themselves and their families. So take a look at some of these high-paying AI careers. And what I noticed right away is that many of them were over $100,000. I live in San Diego in California, where the cost of living is very high. I often wonder how people make it. It seems like you would need a salary like this to make it in California. I'm not sure how it is in other states, but I think this would be motivating to students to see the high pay that these careers could have. Also, the articles on AI say that these workers will use AI on the job. So teachers will be using AI, lawyers, judges, business managers, human resource managers, psychologists and psychiatrists, artists, writers, and physicians. What I also noticed in looking at new material on AI, it's not only technical skills that students need, but they need skills in collaboration, communication, time management, adaptability, problem solving, teamwork. So when we do group activities in our FYE classroom, I think these are some of the outcomes, and these are important ones in adapting to a future with AI. I'd like to talk about some tools for students. So what I did is I used Copilot, which comes with Microsoft. And so I took a section in my textbook, and this section is actually a couple of pages. And it's a couple of pages about how the memory works. So it's about how how material goes into short-term memory. In order to be into long-term memory, you need repetition or rehearsal. So it's a nice description of how the memory works. So I pasted this into AI. And then I said, summarize the information with brief bullet points. So here are the 2 pages in my textbook, and here's the quick summary, the bullet points. So this could be useful to students who are making flashcards, for example. I don't think you need them for an FYE course, but maybe you do need them for your physics course or your chemistry course or your anatomy course, summarizing the information. At the bottom of the results on this page, it had an opportunity to explore further. So if students are interested in this topic, then it offered these opportunities. Explain the differences between short-term and long-term memory. What are some effective memory retention techniques? How can I apply these concepts to improve my studying? So nice opportunity to explore further. One of the big changes in my textbook, I do include a short section on writing. My hope is that students would keep the textbook and use it as a manual and consult it in the future as they need these materials. The online textbook that we have, students keep their account while they're in college so that they can go back and refer to the information. So I have a chapter on taking notes and writing, and I use power writing. And so I changed it to power writing with AI. So the steps in power writing are prepare, organize, write, edit, and revise. And of most importance is being aware of plagiarism. If you were to talk to that 30% of faculty who said no, they don't use AI and it should be banned, I think their concerns are plagiarism. And so I think it's important early on for students to understand what is plagiarism and how to avoid it. Another surprise as I was updating this chapter on writing and note-taking, I went to AI and I put in this prompt: create a schedule to complete a term paper in 1 month. And this is what came out. And this is actually a page in my textbook. So it says week 1, research and outline. Week 2, drafting. Week 3, revising and editing. Week 4, final touches. And then it has tips for success, and they're nice ones. Stay organized, keep track of your sources and your notes, take breaks, ask for help if you get stuck. So I was impressed with the powerful tool that this could be for time management. So I'm thinking that as faculty make assignments, that part of the assignment could be use AI to create a time management schedule. This might avoid this last minute stay up all night to write your term paper. Prepare. So brainstorming ideas. I did an example of, okay, you're writing a term paper on climate change. So you can go into AI and you can say, what are the major factors in climate change? And it will come up with lots of different ideas and sources, and you can check those sources out. I'm thinking also that when we give students writing assignments, we should ask them to talk about what are the results of the brainstorming and what kind of prompts did they use in AI to come up with their final paper. When I looked at all the sources that came up on climate change, there were some things on that were opinion, there were some things on politics, but there was a heavy emphasis on research on climate change. So I was happy to see that. But I think that students have to use critical thinking when they are using AI and say, are there multiple points of view? That's super important. Do additional sources of the information confirm the truth of the material? So if you have some conflicting material, maybe that's a good opportunity to dig a little deeper. Here's another important one. Is the information ethical and moral? AI lacks moral reasoning. And this is important too. Does the information support human well-being? I know that sometimes, well, I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true or not, that AI has told people to put glue on their pizza and eat rocks to get more minerals in their diet. So critical thinking is important. I think it's really crucial in this day and age that people be able to use critical thinking, at least be aware of what is it, and be able to ask questions. And then just a little bit on evaluating the research. I am online and I'm on social media like everyone else. And one of the things I notice is there are lots of things advertising miracle cures. And so they must know who I am and what kind of medical issues I have, because they're always tailored to things that I'm interested in. And it seems like this is wonderful and you should have it, and you can't live without it. And then after you go a half an hour through this presentation, you find out that this is a physician who is selling things and has a financial interest in those products that they're selling, and that they don't really have the research to back up the effectiveness of these products. But I think it's a common sales technique. And so being aware of that and understanding the research would be helpful to avoid scams, and also to be an effective writer, effective college student, an effective citizen of the United States. Are the facts from a peer-reviewed journal or just opinions? So I don't think students know what peer-reviewed means, so we probably need to explain that when scientists write a research article, it is reviewed by other scientists to make sure that it is done correctly, and then approval is given before it's published. So you can't have someone who has an idea that's unproven or a research project that isn't correctly done and have it published in a scientific journal. How large was the study and how long was it? If it's just a few people, then we have to question the validity of it. And then the importance of looking for the statistics and understanding them. I think people need to have a practical understanding of statistics as part of understanding what's happening in today's science. Another surprise I found when I was using AI is that you can use AI to generate references in the appropriate format. As a writer, this has always been challenging for me. I have a background in teaching English, a long time teaching college and career success. I have been a writer since 2020, since 2000. And that's a challenging part of writing, and collecting the information that you need to do references, and then doing the exact punctuation and capitalization. So it's different between APA, MLA, Chicago style. Our textbooks are written in Chicago style. So I help students with, okay, to write a citation, These are the things that you need. You need the title, you need the author, you need the date. If it's a website, you need to have the URL, all the things that you need. And then you just plug it into AI and say, write my citation in APA format or MLA format or Chicago style, and then it will do this for you. This, to me, was eye-opening and amazing, and I think it would be helpful to students also. Edit and revise. So I used AI to edit and revise my manuscript. And this is the prompt that I use. So I would write a section for a chapter, and then I would put it in AI and I would say, edit my paper for grammar and clarity. I'm pretty good at grammar, but no matter how good you are, there are things that slip by. And then you can't just take what AI suggests. So when I ran my material through AI, I found some problems. I had to use my critical thinking. AI can change meaning, make errors, and use words that do not convey your meaning. So some of the problems I found were that it was not my style. My style is to speak clearly, to write clearly so that people understand. And AI took my material and elevated it and put in words that I wouldn't typically use and that weren't necessary. So I didn't like that. When I looked closely at the material, I found that there were errors and that meaning had been changed. And so I had to go through and correct that. What I did like about it is when I looked at the AI edited version of my work, I liked the organization and I thought it was really good. And so what I did is took my section of the chapter and I reorganized it the way that it had been done by AI. So the end result, I was able to submit my manuscript to the publisher and they didn't find any errors in it, which is amazing. That's never happened before. So that saved everyone time in publishing the new materials. And I think this is good guidance for students too. When we give students assignments, we might want to ask them for their original document and then the AI edited version and then the final document. So this would be very valuable. It would be like having your own personal tutor to help you improve your writing if you followed that process. Taking it over into the career world also, let's say you are in a business and you're helping that business adapt to AI. These same critical thinking and using AI as a tool would help that business to be more productive and make money. So it's not only a tool for college, I think it's a tool for success in careers. I'd like to also talk about some tools for faculty, and here's some areas where faculty can use AI. You can use AI to write your syllabus, to create assessments, to write your course objectives, to come up with assignments, and of course, also any writing that you do, it would be helpful to do that. So let me give you some concrete examples. And again, as you're thinking about what I'm saying, if you can add some things to the conversation momentarily, please do so. But here's some things I have found that faculty could use. So the first one is syllabus. I have a syllabus. I've had it for many years. Every semester, I update that syllabus. One of the most tedious things about updating my syllabus is changing the calendar. So that involves looking at my calendar and getting out my Word document and updating the dates. And it's easy to make errors. So I have to check it and double check it to make sure it's correct. So this time what I did, I put this prompt into Copilot. Create a course syllabus beginning September 1st, 2025 and ending December 20th, 2025. The course title is College and Career Success. The instructor is Dr. Marsha Fralick. Include these chapters and the dates for each. And then I just tapped generate. So here's what came out. So this is a real time-saving device. So it even put my orientation in there, even though I didn't tell it to do that. And it says Introduction to the Course, Overview of the Syllabus, Expectations, and Getting to Know Each Other. That's perfect. That's exactly what I do in orientation, and I didn't have to write that in there. All the dates are in there. I did add an additional prompt. I said, write the course objectives for each week, and it came up with really good ones. So for example, chapter 2 is understanding motivation, and the course objective is understanding the importance of motivation in personal and academic success. That sounds pretty good to me. Okay, assessments. So again, I took that same section about short-term and long-term memory, and I said, use this paragraph to write a multiple choice question. So I copied and pasted the material from my textbook, and I put it in Copilot, and I asked it to generate a multiple choice question. So here's what I got. What is necessary for information to be stored in long-term memory? Good. Option A, reading a textbook once. Our students tend to think they can do that. So that's a good option here. It's a false answer. And B is the correct answer, using repetition or rehearsal. C says storing information in short-term memory. That one is somewhat correct, but not totally correct. You have to have information in short-term memory before it can go into long-term memory. So it's not the best answer, but I think it's tricky because it's partially true. So if I am preparing an assessment, I would change that. And then D is obviously a wrong answer, avoiding practice or rehearsal. But I think it did a pretty good job. It saved me some time. It generated that question. I just had to use my critical thinking and make sure that it was correct. And for my textbooks, I have assessments already available in the instructor manual, but if you need to create assessments, you could put the whole chapter in AI and then generate these questions. I did find that there's a limit of how much material you can put in Copilot. Maybe other AI apps are different, but you might have to cut and paste it in there part of the time, maybe section at a time. So at this point, I would like to pause and ask, how are you using AI in your FYE course? I know from the poll that many of you are using it. We have some people who are starting to use it and planning to use it. So I think at this point, it would be valuable if we could open this up to some discussion about how you're using FYE in your course. One of my goals is to share information. I think for many of us, this is new. My own journey exploring AI happened as I wrote my new edition. So I can share what I know about it, but would like to hear from the audience. How are you using AI in your FYE course?
That'd be great. What tools are you using even? Or there's so many options these days that way. So we have an answer of building schedules, time management, summarizing text and notes. Those are all really valuable ways to use AI for sure.
The other thing maybe you could ask if you have concerns about it. I think when something is new, people have concerns about using AI. So any concerns or issues people might have, those are welcome also.
This is another use. We expect to use it for an exercise that requires resume feedback, and they haven't decided on the tool yet. But that's definitely one that people are able to use and almost have a conversation with the AI. I know that.
I know that one of the uses of AI is you can take the job description and ask AI to use that job description and your own personal qualifications and create your resume. So today, most resumes are read by a machine. It's read by AI. And so how we write resumes, I think, is going to change. I can also put in a plug for Human Resources. They have a free resume tool. So you could write the first draft of your resume at Human eSources, and we'll put up that URL here in a moment. But students could use that free resource, do a draft, and then ask AI to revise their resume and put in that job description. So they would have the key words that are in that job description. So thanks for bringing that up. That's another good use of AI.
Absolutely. We've got a bunch more here. And if somebody wants to talk, you can just raise your hand and I can turn on the ability to talk if anybody's comfortable with that for their sharing. So we have at the early part of the research paper assignment, narrowing topic, research question, and keywords is where they're using AI. So that makes sense. Enhancing ideas for deeper brain thought and development of writing. That kind of goes with the power rating, I think, that you were talking about.
Another thing I'd like to add is that my course is mainly a personal development course, and it's not a research course. So another way to go with AI is that you could tailor your projects to be about the students. So, for example, I have students summarize their personal strengths, their multiple intelligences, their values, their interests, and write a personality paper. And now you can't use AI to do that, although surprisingly, I had one student who attempted to do that. He put in AI, what are my personality strengths? And it came out very strange. It was obvious that it was AI, but I do have in the resources posted today some assignments that you could give students in an FYE course that are about themselves. What are my personal strengths? What's my personal philosophy? Those kind of things that really aren't appropriate for AI and help students to think critically about themselves.
We have another one here is I use it to show students to help them create well-written SMART goals, create a budget, use it for money saving tips, building prioritized to-do lists. We will use it next week for them to find ways to incorporate future careers with giving back to the community with the skills they're acquiring now. We will also show them how to build some of their resume or cover letters with AI.
Wow, that's really great. So that's quite a bit of use of AI in the FYE course. So I think that's a really good example of how we can use AI in our courses.
Yeah, absolutely. We have used it to generate personal statements based on the local university statement directions and 3 brief student bios that I created. I use them in a group annotation exercise.
Okay, those are all wonderful ideas.
And as an instructor, I use it to narrow down and select their critical thinking debate topic,
Yes,
brainstorming.
yes.
Um, I encourage my students to use it for their business plan project and their academic plan assignment. It helps them develop a plan that they otherwise may not even know they could do, such as a marketing plan for a business, for example.
Yes. So I know that this is used at Cal State LA for their business department. And so that's a great way to combine careers, especially in business, with this FYE course.
Right? Created an anime version of a pic of campus and asked it to populate it with a diverse group of students. Use it in my LMS for decoration. Then we'll use it in my first class, asking what prompts they would use to create an image of a college experience and to consider what data or information AI pulls from. This is to encourage critical, creative thinking about the stories we tell about college.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Another one is we actually have a module early in the semester following a lesson on plagiarism about how to effectively use AI, how to engineer good prompts, using your critical thinking skills to analyze AI results, etc. So that's
Okay, those are
great.
all wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, and someone's from Cal State LA, so they recognize what you're talking about.
Right.
That's great. Excellent feedback. And I think AI is at the point where getting feedback from others is so important. There's so much you can learn.
I'm wondering if faculty would be interested in sending me some examples of how you're using AI. For example, if you have any handouts, these all sound like wonderful things. And I will put these together and share them with the group. So if faculty are willing, these are all really great ideas. And I mentioned one of the outcomes today is sharing ideas. So I'm going to put up the resource slide here. This is my email, marsha@marshafralick.com. So if you would like to contribute to the cause and help other faculty, if you would email me any examples you have of using AI and FYE, I will put all of these together and I will post them on my website, and then faculty can use these as resources. So my website is collegesuccess1.com, and there's a menu on the side of my homepage, and there's a category called training notes. And this is where I post any resources. So the resources for today, the articles about AI, the examples, all the material I mentioned today, my PowerPoint is posted there too, if you'd like to look at that again. So collegesuccess1.com training notes. So if people would email me their ideas to marsha@marshafralick.com, I will put them all together, and Tamara will have a list of all the people who have registered,
Yep.
and I will send you that contact. That would be a great way of sharing ideas.
Absolutely. We do have somebody looking for clarification on what you're looking for. They're asking if you mean examples like faculty examples to design the course or examples from students or both.
Okay. I would say anything. I'll figure out how to format it. So if
Yeah.
you want to send me an email and say, I use it to create images that we use in our course, or some of you talked about how to design prompts for AI, anything at all that you mentioned today or that you think that might be helpful, whatever format. If you'd like to send me a Word file, if you'd like to send me an example of the graphics, and I will put your name with it too. So I will say, okay, this person from this college uses it this way, just to share ideas. So we can get a community going here of people sharing ideas on the topic. I think that would be really great. So whatever you'd like to share, send it to me. I'll give you credit for it. I'll post it at my website.
And one of the things also on the screen here is free guest access or a demonstration of college and career success. As Dr. Fralick mentioned, there's more than that. There's concise editions and the ability to have custom editions of her college and career success textbook. And Carla Lundman at Human Resources would be very happy to share that information with you. And I think I don't see any other questions. So I will wrap up today, and I will say thank you so much for joining us. And Dr. Fralick, thanks for sharing your knowledge and your time.
Yes, thank you for attending today, and I really look forward to hearing from you and continuing the sharing of ideas. So thanks again.
Thanks so much.